show you how ChatGPT can really help you out if you are in any sort of sales position. So just a little introduction. My name's Alicia. I have been doing sales online for a few years now. Currently, I work with a naturopathic doctor doing sales online. And so that's what I'm doing kind of day in and day out. I'm in the chats, but I also do Zoom calls with couples who are considering working with this naturopath and her team. So today I'm going to show you how I use ChatGPT to improve my sales call process, to improve people converting, to improve just how I'm showing up and really getting to the heart of what these couples are looking for. So because I work in the health field, I'm actually not going to share an actual sales call with you guys because I don't want to put people's information on here, and everything needs to be kept private. Of course, I would never share that on here. But what I'm doing is kind of like a faux sales call walkthrough of how I get ChatGPT to give me feedback. So I'm actually going to be using one of my old YouTube videos about books I read in Q3 of 2024. And it wasn't a sales call, but I was introducing books, explaining a little bit about them. So I'm going to see today how ChatGPT viewed my skills on delivering a book review for these books and if ChatGPT would buy them based on the review that I gave. So I'm just going to walk through how I use ChatGPT. Again, this is great if you're in a sales role, particularly if you are kind of at the beginning of your sales role or really any point where you're just looking for immediate feedback. The things I really like about this is ChatGPT is something that you can go to right after your call is uploaded, and then you can just pull the transcript, put it in here, get immediate feedback. And then if you need to follow up with the person you are on the sales call with, you have feedback right there, and you just know what to do going into the next call. I would say this has improved the process for me and just helped me feel more in control and help me reframe how to do things, as well as pointing out blind spots to what I may have missed in the sales call. I do my calls on Zoom, so I just click the record to computer button. I have a whole Zoom file in my computer, and then as soon as it's done uploading from Zoom, I upload it into Loom. So you just go to new video, upload. And what's great is the entire transcript is there for you. So what I do is I just copy the transcript from Loom and put it into ChatGPT. So super simple tech process. You record the meeting on Zoom, upload that file into Loom, and then you get a text-based transcript. There's probably a lot of ways to do this, but I share my calls with my team anyway, so Loom is something that's just been super easy for me. I used it in a previous role. We filmed Loom videos for each other, so this has just been a system that I use, and then that's how I plug in the chat transcript to ChatGPT, because it doesn't, or I haven't seen how it analyzes actual videos yet. So here's what I did for my book review. Of course, word it in the way that you guys would like, but I just was honest with it and said, usually I put my sales scripts in here for you to analyze. They have personal information in them. I'm doing a demo for you, helping analyze my sales calls. So instead, can you take my book review video transcript and review it in terms of how I recommended these books to people? Which books would you purchase from the book I recommended, and where are my weak points? And I spelled weak wrong, but you get the gist. I just copied and pasted the transcript here. If this was an actual sales call, usually I'll ask for, was there any objections that I didn't address in the sales call? If the person didn't buy, I'll say, what could I have handled better to get them to the sale? And I'll just ask about, what could I do better next time? So copied and pasted the transcript on here. It's quite long, so I'm just gonna scroll down, and then it gives me some tips. So it says, here's my review of your book recommendation video, focusing on the strengths and areas where you could improve, as well as which books I'd consider purchasing based on your recommendations. So it looks like they would consider purchasing all three of these books. So Divine Rivals, I Thought We'd Never Speak Again, and A Quart of Silver Flames. Those were three of the books that I reviewed. So I guess that in the video, I gave stronger reviews to these three books, and that makes sense because these were three of the highest rated books that I reviewed on my last book review. It gives me some strengths, so authentic emotional connection, It gave me a couple books I did really well with that on, and sharing the quotes made it stronger. So now I'll consider in my next book review sharing more quotes to the books that I really want people to read. Honesty about critiques. I didn't shy away from pointing out flaws in the books that I enjoyed. It added credibility. So that's really good to know that people are kind of looking for both angles of this, both what I liked and didn't like, and relatable language. Um, it felt like a conversation. So that's what ChatGPT liked about it. And in a sales call, it'll kind of do this too. Like, you built a lot of trust with these people. You really dove into this topic. Here's a part where you handled that objection super well. Then it goes into areas of improvement, which is really great because then you know what to do better next time. So stronger book hooks early on. For each book, start with a compelling hook. So that's something I didn't do. Clarify the target audience. For books like Legend or One of Us is Lying, it wasn't clear who'd enjoy them. Okay, that's fair. More focused structure. Some reviews felt slightly competitive, especially when summarizing quotes. Consider format like hook, why I picked it, why I loved it, who I'd recommend it to, and then one quote. So that's something that I could do in my next book review. And closing with a stronger call to action. You asked for recommendations at the end, but you could also add which of these would you pick up. Let me know in the comments to spark more engagement. So that's some really good feedback. Again, if I posted this in here right after I did the book review, if I was doing the next one, which I will be doing another one, I could take this feedback and then implement. And that's really great if you're a sales professional, because oftentimes you'll have multiple calls on your calendar. So getting that immediate review is going to help your next call versus waiting for somebody on your team to review it, which you may have had 5 to 6 calls in between without any sort of review or coaching. Then I went ahead and did some final thoughts here. So the next thing that I like doing in my sales process is getting a summary of what the sales call was about. Usually these are anywhere from 30 minutes to over an hour, and I have to put notes in the person's profile, especially if they are going to continue on seeing a practitioner. If they're not, I still like to have notes because you never know when they're going to come back. You never know when I'll need to reference them or somebody else on the team is going to need to reference them. So you saw how long this video transcript was, but then ChatGPT actually breaks it down. So it breaks it down by book, all the books I had here. It just did a little short one paragraph based on what I said, which is really nice. If I was giving somebody a summary of my books, I could just copy paste that in, just read it through, make sure that it makes logical sense. But it's really great that I don't have to film these videos and then write a whole long summary of these books. When I've already summarized them, it's just going to turn it into text. Okay, so now, and this is what I do with the sales calls too, I ask specifically what objections would you have? So on the sales calls, I'll say, what objections did they have? How can I handle objections better in the next call? So again, this is kind of a little bit off kilter because I wasn't trying to sell these books, but we'll see what ChatGPT says. So here's some potential objections a viewer might have when deciding whether to buy these books, along with suggestions on how you can handle such objections more efficiently in your future book reviews. So it goes book by book. So this book, I thought we'd never speak again. Someone can say I'm not dealing with estrangement or reconciliation, so this isn't relevant to me. Someone can say it sounds too heavy or emotionally intense. So yeah, I could have emphasized a little bit that the book wasn't just for people dealing with estrangement. It was also about forgiveness, personal growth, understanding human relationships, healing from any sort of emotional wound. So that's really good. I didn't even see that that would be an objection, or that I specifically framed this book for people just dealing with estrangement or reconciliation. Even though that kind of is the title, there was so much more info that I learned from this book than just that. So yeah, I would recommend it to people who are dealing with other things too. Okay, A Court of Silver Flames. I haven't read the other books in the series, so I'll be lost. I'm not into books with too many romantic, spicy scenes. Okay, so the first one, I probably should have been clear that you should read the other books in the series before this one. So even kind of pushing people away, which is also a sales tactic. Sometimes the person's just not right for the program or service you're offering. So instead of keeping going with it, I would just say, hey, this actually isn't for people who are dealing with XYZ. And then you could end the sales call and just realize it's not a fit for you guys, or see if there's something in there that you weren't clear on, or they were mistaken, or there was a miscommunication. I did highlight that this book had a lot of spicy scenes, and that wasn't my favorite part of the book. So yeah, I think I could have gone into why the book's still good, even if you don't enjoy these scenes, why there's so much more emotional depth, and how these scenes you can almost skip over and still enjoy the book to the degree that I did. Okay, next one. Legend series. YA dystopian books feel overdone, like The Hunger Games or Divergent. I prefer more complex adult characters and plots. So this one I did frame as a YA book, but it is more complex, so I could have gone into that. One of Us is Lying. High school drama isn't interesting to me. It sounds like typical whodunit with predictable twists. So again, I could have addressed that. And we just keep going here. Sounds cheesy, not into heavy romance. So I think just keeping in mind, like, here's how I dissuaded people from these books, and some of those are probably relevant, but some of them also I could have done a better job of explaining. So now I know going into future reviews where my blind spots are. So here is some general objection handling. Address potential objections head on. If you like X, you'll love Y. Okay, that's a good one for doing book reviews. Highlight relatability over the plot. Incorporate testimonials or external validation, and with strong calls to action. So that's kind of how I address the objections on sales calls with ChatGPT. And then the next thing I do is I have it rate my call, almost like grading it, like it's a school assignment or something. It kind of brings me back to those school days, but it also really kind of gives me a clear picture of where I'm at and how I addressed the call. I also have to do a self-review for my calls for the company that I work for. So this just gives me a gist of where that's at. And what I usually do is highlight the criteria that they're looking for. So I followed the script, I stayed on time, I offered this in a certain way. But this one, I just kept it really open because, again, it was just a book review. So how I sold, handled objections, gave clear information, and it gave me a 78 out of 100. So that gets me into that school thinking like, okay, it's a C plus, so it's acceptable, but probably not my best work. And it broke down into what I was telling it and gave me kind of a grade on each. So sales technique, I got a 23 out of 30. It shows me what I did well and areas that I can improve upon. Objection handling, 20 out of 30. So that one was a little bit lower than the sales technique. What I did well, areas to improve, and opportunity. And then clarity of information, it looks like I did pretty good on. So a 35 out of 40, that's my strongest area. So again, what I did well, areas to improve. And then I could see which section maybe I want to focus on for the next call. So maybe it's this objection handling, or focusing on what I'm doing well and making that even better. It also gives me pointers to give me a 90 plus score, so like in the A category. So starting each book review with a powerful hook, proactively addressing potential objections, stronger, more dynamic calls to action. And then it gives me an overall impression. It gives me some encouragement here. I think I even programmed my ChatGPT to be naturally encouraging because I really like that reinforcement, and words of affirmation are one of the top things for me. So that's how I use ChatGPT to help me with sales. If you're in a sales role, please let me know if this was helpful for you, or if you own your own business and do sales. But this is helpful for everybody. Everybody should learn sales if they're in any sort of business. But then especially if you're in a sales role, this is going to be crucial for you. So let me know your thoughts. Do you use ChatGPT to help you with sales? And if not, are you going to start doing that? All right. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video.